organized better than the time it took to react in the 7 Days War, actually. You know? So we actually decided to do this as a result of wanting to create an opportunity for us to understand our heritage through some music. And being based here in Malacca, we actually were glad to know that Master Horace Sta Maria was going to come back to Malacca for the SFI School Reunion Dinner, which is this coming Saturday. And with that, we had this opportunity to invite him to come here tonight to share with us his story of the Trez Amigos. We have prepared some questions for him to answer, and also there will be some songs that he'll sing for us, and we have a question and answer session as well. Permit me to introduce the moderator, Audrey Lim, my good friend, and Master Horace Sta Maria is here. I think it's well known, he needs no introduction. So without much ado, I'll hand over the proceedings to the moderator, Audrey, to get the ball going. Rolling. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again. It is a great privilege for us to be able to interact with a living legend like Mr. Horace Sta Maria. He, as many Malaccans know, has worn many hats during his lifetime. He was a very popular schoolmaster, and that's why Colin addresses him as Master Horace. He also achieved national fame as an accomplished musician and composer. Very active in scouting, and as a scout leader all the way as state commissioner for scouting in Malacca. Moreover, he has been involved with the teaching of the Portuguese language, and every year he comes back to teach students at the Portuguese settlement. So there are many facets to Horace's personality and life, but today we are focusing on his singing career as one of the founding members of the Trez Amigos. So I would like to start the ball rolling, Horace, by asking you this first question. Your family, the Sta Maria family, is well known for their involvement in the Malayan and Malaysian music scene, particularly in Malacca. Could you elaborate a little on this?
Thank you. I come from a family of 9, 7 boys and 2 girls. Of the 2 girls, the younger one had some tuition in piano playing, and only the eldest boy had 2 years of piano tuition. The rest of us had no training in music, but we were all members of the St. Peter's Church Choir, and we grew up there, and that's how we had our grounding in choir music. So when we grew up to be adults and went our own ways, we had the grounding to pursue whatever we wanted to.
Thank you very much. The second question, we would like to know your story of the origins of the Trez Amigos. Who were the first Trez Amigos, the 3 friends, and what was the first song they sang?
Well, in fact, the most unlikely people were recruited into the Trez Amigos. Ernest Rodriguez and Andrew Cavallo had just left school and were waiting for their results. I had just qualified as a teacher and felt quite free. No more studies, that's what I thought. My house, number 99 Padai, was just opposite Cavallo's house. And these two youngsters, they were champion athletes in school, were there in the house, mucking around with the piano and singing. So I was attracted to them. I crossed the road and joined them. So we just let fly whatever we could, whatever song we could sing. And when we had finished singing, one of them suggested, "Oh, there's a talent type going on. What about joining in?" So we agreed, and all kinds of names were suggested for the trio. Eventually, we agreed on Trez Amigos, which means three friends. And we were three friends, unlikely friends. When a team from Singapore, led by Kingsley Morando, he was very famous in Singapore for organizing talent times. So on behalf of Radio Malaya, not Malaysia, he came to Malacca and organized that talent time. So we were mucking around with all those songs, and we decided to sing a song that was popular with the Anglo sisters, girls singing. And the song was, "Just let a smile be your umbrella on a rainy, rainy, rainy day." That was the song we sang, and surprisingly we won. And we were invited to Singapore radio to broadcast a program of half an hour program, 8 songs. In those days, we didn't have radios yet. Very few people had radios. The popular music was from the gramophone. That's all. So it was a live broadcast in Singapore. If we made a mistake, it was a mistake. Everyone would know it. So Andrew Cavallo with a double bass, myself with my usual guitar, and Ernest Rodriguez, nothing to be, sang a trio with the accompaniment of a guitar and double bass. And that kept Singapore talking. The year was 1949.
Now, as we know, Tres Amigos means three friends. You have always been one of the three, one of the Tres. Well, the other two were, and you were constant, always one of the three. Could you introduce us to all the others who at different times were in the Trez Amigos?
Actually, from the start to the end, in this again, because I keep coming back like no boomerang. There were 7 amigos. We started with Andrew Cavallo, Ernest Rodriguez, and myself. no discussion about who was the leader. But myself being the eldest, they passed it on to me. I had all the responsibility of anything. We were doing very well when Andrew Koalo had a job in Singapore as a police inspector, training. So he had to go, and we were two amigos. I thought that was the end of it. But in the St. Peter's Choir, there was Camilo Gomez, and he offered to join us. We tried him and we found that he could match with us. And this combination did a lot of very good things to make us famous. I wouldn't say anything yet, except I'll follow your question. This combination was there for about 10 years, say from 1950 to 60. Then there was trouble because Ernest Rodriguez was working in the customs department and Camilo Gomez was a teacher in Malaysian school, English school. And every time there is a special show in Kuala Lumpur, Radio Malaya show in Kuala Lumpur, we were invited. There was a team of radio stars who were constantly invited to Kuala Lumpur for these special shows like Ketupat show for Hari Raya, Ang Pao show for Chinese New Year, and Christmas show and so on. And in the team there was Ramli, Saloma, Ahmad Daud from Penang, ourselves, the Trez Amigos, and a few others, I can't remember the names. So that was a regular team that was going up and down. And at that time also, we had the emergency. So every time we left the state, we had to have permission from our department. In my case, there was no trouble because I was in a brother's school and the brother director didn't mind. My work was up to date. Ernest Rodriguez had to ask his boss for leave. Camilo also had to ask, and those two, had to have special police permission to leave the state. With that, Camilo Gomez began to have trouble with his department because they said he was leaving the state too often and maybe he's not doing his job properly. They checked his work and so on. Eventually he was transferred to Kelantan on promotion, it seems. So we were left in limbo, but my younger brother, Arthur, he was also in the choir together. He fitted in nicely, and naturally we managed to carry on. Then Ernest Rodriguez in the customs had the same kind of trouble. His boss were leaving too often, and he was transferred to Johor. Again in limbo, but Emil Moisnek had just returned from Perth after his studies. And in Perth, he was very popular as a radio singer. His group was called the Millionaires. So he and my brother Arthur were very good friends. So Arthur recommended that he should join us. And he fitted in nicely. Because of that, he had a job in Radio Malay. And again, the same old trouble. He had his work and he cannot travel here, there and everywhere. Fortunately, my brother Kenneth, who was teaching in Singapore, he came to teach in SFI. So we became three brothers. So that's the story of the 7 amigos. And now that Kenneth, my brother, passed away, left only myself and Arthur. Camilo Gomez is in Ipoh. He's old, showing his age. He speaks incoherently. And Ernest Rodriguez is in Colorado, retired. He doesn't want to know me. I send him cards or letters. No. Even he doesn't want to know his relatives even. He's a reclusive. So that's the story of the 7 amigos.
7 amigos. Now, the Trez Amigos were famous for a wide repertoire of songs in different languages, like Portuguese, Malay, and English. Would you like to shed some light on some of these songs?
Yes. In fact, you just told me that I had composed a song in Japanese and wanted Japanese 10 times, which I had forgotten. I had forgotten about that incident. She enlightened me. Actually, when we were doing very well, we were not recording stars yet. And there were no what we call cassettes or what we call tape recorders. We only had those gramophone records on 78 where you play only one song and wind. So people were requesting songs from the Tres Amigos, but Radio Malay couldn't. Because whatever broadcast that we had, it was not recorded, they were all live. Just one microphone up there, so we go beforehand, the sound mixer would say, you try your voice, you stand further away and so on, and it was all live. So if we are not well rehearsed, we make a mistake, the mistake goes in the air. And of course, people cannot record our music, neither can the Radio Malay record our music, because it was all live. There was a start. So I was given a letter by Radio Malay to HMV so that our songs can be recorded and they can play when requested. So I went to Singapore to HMV with a letter of introduction and 2 songs. Glory Shining Bright over Malaya and Alabanda Istimanda Portuguese songs. So the person who interviewed me was Mr. Cooper. He said, the songs are good, tunes are good, but we can't record you in English. You can't compare or compete with Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. So I was very depressed. He said, anyway, we heard a lot about you. If you really want to do recording, do it in the vernacular. Change it into Malay, Chinese or Tamil. And so I came back to Malacca, went to Radio Malaya, and I told Mr. Tosayam what has happened. He called the Malay technician, Dol Bahari. He said, now this is the problem. I said, I can't do it in Chinese or in Malay or Tamil. Let's forget about it. So Bahari said, no, this song, let us sit down, I'll translate for you. So the moon shining bright over Malaya, we translated together into Malay. But the other one was in Portuguese. He can't translate. So that was my first attempt at writing that song, translating it into from Portuguese into English, and then translating it into Malay. So I decided on the title of Maria. And the other side, Bulan Side of Malaya became Bulan Cebelang di Malaysia. So those two songs I posted to HMV. The reply came very quickly, come for recording. So we three went and we did in one session. We recorded the two songs quite satisfactorily. Accompaniment only one bass and one guitar. But when the songs were played by Radio Malaya, it was an instant hit. Although they were in Malay. Bill Webb Jones, who used to be a critic in these records and songs, he gave a full-page comment on those two recordings. He said, my son couldn't decide which song is better. And he said that if he says it's good, it must be good. So with that, and then Merdeka came. When Merdeka came, the same team that used to go for Ketupat show and all that were invited to the palace to sing before the heads of Commonwealth of Nations. Raman was there, of course. So we were invited together with them. And before going, the other two members, Camilo and Ernest, told me, what about writing a special song for them? So I wrote, in haste, I wrote the Tengku Abdul Rahman Calypso. It goes like this. God bless the Tengku Abdul Rahman. He is Malaysia's greatest son. Hurrah for Tengku Abdul Rahman. He made our country a free one. The nation there are three, but he made them all want to see that in order to be happy, they got to have the unity. God bless the Tengku Abdul Rahman. I sang that before him, Tengku Abdul Rahman. After the show he came, he said, so you are the Trez Amigos, you are not Malaysian, you are singing in Malay.
Yes, so that's the story of the different languages of the songs sung by the Trez Amigos. Thank you.
Yes, I didn't mention about the Portuguese songs. We actually are the first and only people to broadcast Portuguese songs we had a regular spot on Radio Malacca in a Malay program. There had no English section. The English section went to Kuala Lumpur. So in that Malay program of 8 songs, we sing 3 Malay, 2 English, 1 Portuguese, and 1 instrumental, 8 songs. So that was the first time Malaya or Malaysia heard Portuguese songs being sung on radio. And they realized that there is such a thing as Kampung Portuguese in Malacca. Otherwise, the Portuguese are not known at all.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, you were very much involved with the Malacca and the Malayan Scouting movement, and you composed a number of Scouting songs as well. So tell us more of your Scouting music experience.
Now, besides writing songs in Portuguese, English, and then translating it into Malay, and then of course Malay songs,
Scouting songs, yeah.
Scouting. I had also written out some songs for the Scouts because I was not only the State Commissioner of Scouts in Malacca, I was a member of the National Training Scheme, training Scout Masters throughout the country, and the National Campfire leader. Whenever there is a National Campfire, I would be the leader. So I had composed quite a number of songs for the Scouts, of which 2 have been, I would say, I won't use the word accepted because I didn't submit the songs. Those songs were submitted by the headquarters to the Scout movement when they were having a jamboree, World Jamboree in Thailand. And they wrote to all the countries to submit 2 songs which they would put into the World Scout book. So my 2 songs went there. But I had more than 2 songs. But they accepted 2 songs that we submitted. One will be like, I come from Malacca, jolly good place, that one, and Singapore and all that. And the other one is, sing everyone sing, sing everyone sing, and then stand everyone stand, clap everyone clap, and so on. So those 2 songs are in the World Scout Songbook, and they sent me a copy of the book.
Marvelous, yeah, because those songs are very famous. Lastly, Horace, how would you like to see the legacy of your music and songs handed down to future generations? I mean, we are indeed very privileged that you're
Well,
here.
if you read those articles by Raja Gopal, you know what's happening to my song. In fact, quite recently in Perth, every Christmas we have a family Christmas party, and we call that group Santa Quera. Santa for Santa Maria, Quera for Siquera. Siquera is the name of my sister who married a Siquera. So her children are Siqueras, and my side Santa Maria. So my children, my grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and theirs combined. So every Christmas we bring a plate and we have carols, we sing. But this year I received a surprise. 3 Siqueras behind my back used my musical backing and they sang Tres Amigos, so they dressed like Tres Amigos and they sang the Tres Amigos song. They behaved like Tres Amigos. So I was really very surprised. And not only myself, but the Eurasian Club of Perth also heard about it. And they invited them to sing. And they sang those Tres Amigos songs. So I do not know who else will imitate the Tres Amigos.
So the Trez Amigos will live on. Yeah, so that was the last question, and I know a lot of people in this crowd would really appreciate it if you could sing a few songs for us.
Unfortunately, I've got to sing without any accompaniment. I'm usually associated with the guitar, but due to physical pain that I have in my fingers, I am not able to play the guitar anymore. I told him if he could get the keyboard, perhaps I could accompany myself, but a keyboard is not available, so I've got to sing without any accompaniment, like what I did just now. So I like to sing one which I sung this morning when I met the two Portuguese professors in the Portuguese settlement. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Horace will take a drink and that will fortify him. But you have a wonderful voice a cappella, so it's quite okay. Yeah. We would love to listen to a few songs.
There's a difference between Portuguese and Malacca Portuguese. So this morning I met two Portuguese professors in the Portuguese settlement, and they came to teach Portuguese there. And I told them, if you teach them Portuguese, you won't be successful, because the Portuguese grammar is very intricate. But our language has been set down through the ages, and it has gone a lot of changes. But the vocabulary is the same. Vocabulary you could understand. So I sang to them this song in Malacca Portuguese, and I asked them whether they could understand or not. And this song is about Malacca, which I had written in Portuguese, Malacca Portuguese, and Malay. Quem tem fortuna fica na Malacca, não querer partir vai outra terra, porque tudo gente tem amizade. Quando parte, logo fica saudade. O Malacca, terra de São Francisco, não tem outro terra que eu querer. O Malacca, dia tem sempre fresco. Eu querer ficar aqui até morrer. And now I'm singing in Malay translation. Bertua kita mengundi di Malacca, tidak kita berpindah ke negeri lain. Tegur sapa budi bahasa baik belaka, takkan ku lupakan sepermain. O Malacca, tempat lahir jatuh hang tua, tempat lain cintaku tidak kubah. O Malacca, negeri indah, negeri aman, aku tetap bersamamu ke akhir zaman. And the funny part of it is, contrary to the song, I left like her. Because in English, the last line says, I will live here until I die. The next one that I'll sing is my first attempt at composing, as I said just now, that Portuguese song. I had to put it into Malay and call it O Maria. So it is sung in Portuguese Branyo tempo, and the dance for it would be the Branyo. It's like the rogeng. Alabanda istimanda kuze break papaya, fila dia gol kesabe kuze kabaya. Alabanda istimanda kuze break pipiu, filu dia gol kesabe baby. Oh minha filha, claro que passa. Oh minha filha, claro que passa. La 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 la. Jika lalu cek berbunyi dan gadis pun menyanyi, dengan lagu dan berdepiki ini lama terkenduri. Bukan rumba atau konga, bukan mambo atau sama, bukan sanggup, bukan caca, inilah joget Branyo. Mariaku oh Maria, bersama menari. Mariaku oh Maria, ni bisa kenduri. La 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 la. I know in English. The bells they are ringing, the drums they are beating, the girls they are singing. For now we start for feasting. A rumba or a conga, a mambo or a samba, a tango or a cha-cha is just the Branyo dance. Oh Maria, my Maria, come and join the rest of Oh Maria, my Maria. And the greatest festa, la 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 la. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Otherwise, it would have been better.
Fantastic, yeah, beautiful, very nice. Okay, so
You may ask for scouting songs.
scouting song.
Scouting song. And I sang that I come from Malacca, jolly good place. I come from Malacca, jolly good place. I come from Malacca, jolly good place. Jolly, 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 jolly good place. That's Singapore. I come from Singapore, and the Singapore boys stand up. The other one is sing, everyone sing. Sing, everyone sing. All of your troubles will fly off like bubbles. Sing, everyone sing. That is a song that was written for the Scout of Malaysia. We had the headquarters camp in Kuala Lumpur, and the camp is called Camp Semangat. So this song is called Oh Semangat. Oh Semangat, oh Semangat, we know why we are happy. Scouting spirit, that makes us always happy. We are scouts from all Malaysia, different tongues, always smiling, full of tears. We want to come back every year. So I'm sorry I missed a bit because without preparation, it's impromptu.
So that ends the first part, and I'm sure there are lots of people who would like to ask a lot of questions, and Yes, Josephine? Yeah.
Master Horace, you know, Master Horace, we are really very privileged, you know. I mean, I've known you for so many years, but today I really hear you sing, you know, in the privacy of this place, right? And I was just wondering, you know, you had all those acknowledgements from all these people, like, you know, his master's voice and all that. Those mementos, your children, you know, are they compiling everything with you?
Frankly, no. The saying is true. A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and among his own countrymen. In those days, when we went to Kuala Lumpur or Ipoh or Singapore, you will get people coming up asking for autographs and all that. But not in Malacca. In fact, in Malacca, when we have our, what do you call it, in the staff room, during the recess time or lunch time, the teachers will make fun. Here we are dancing. They make fun. Anyway, all in good fun. I don't. But they meant well also. But all these accolades that's coming in the newspaper and here and there and everywhere, I take it my step because I'm very accustomed to it. Now my greatest fan now today is Raja Gopal. He's been writing in the papers all kinds of things, and the latest one is proposed that I should get a dato-ship only for people to sponsor me. I said, I'm not looking forward to that, I'm a foreigner. I've given up my birthright.
I think to me you are bigger than Shah Rukh Khan. I think to all of us. But coming back again to that question, so are you keeping all these documents, all, you know, from all these years ago? All these people who have asked you, yeah, and your first record, the 78, is it with you in Perth or?
They are with me in Perth. I'm treasuring. I don't play at all, I just keep it, making sure that it doesn't get damaged.
Yeah, okay, right. I hope you...
I've got 2 LPs, 2 EPs, and countless 78s.
I just bought the 78 from Australia so that I can play all the 78. So, you know, I hope you will compile all of it for our sake. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Master Horace, my husband was your former student, I think. So that's why I'm here to see you. I think it's a very good choice because I actually had another meeting on at the same time, but I made the choice. I think I made the right choice to be here tonight. So I will ask something simpler than Josephine. Just share with us some tips on how you keep your voice so good and how you keep your brain so active and clear and how you keep yourself looking so good. Just some tips from you.
I'm now 92 years young. No smoking. Don't get drunk. Early to bed, early to rise. Don't eat too much of rich food. Plenty of physical exercise.
Plenty of girlfriends.
Girlfriends are fans. They ask for my autograph and that's all. In fact, among the three of us, I was the only married man, and the other two were bachelors, very available. So whenever we went out, they were the ones who had the best of the pickings, I would say. I was a married man, I kept loose.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for your memories. Could I ask, the Trez Amigos took part in a show in Kuala Lumpur around the time Tunku Abdul Rahman was Prime Minister. It was called Irama Lagu Melayu, if I'm not mistaken. And they were Tunku Abdul Rahman. Is that so? Is that the case? Do you remember that? A show that they went to Tunku Abdul Rahman?
In Seremban.
Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
Was it called the show Irama Lagu Melayu?
Yes.
And when you composed the song and sang
Oh, that one is in English only.
Sorry?
The Tunku Abdul Rahman
Yes.
song.
No.
1959, I think it was. There was a show and they went to Abdul Rahman. That was the first time Alfonso Soliano got an orchestra together and Tunku Abdul Rahman attended it. Trez Amigos was one of the performers. Do you recall that show?
In fact, there were so many, I can't recall any particular one. Regularly we had been called up in 1 year about 4 or 5 times. We cannot afford to go too often because of course we don't talk money. Radio Malaya would give us an allowance of $60 per program, share among the three. And so to make it more, what you call it, attractive to us, we'll record 2 programs, so we'll get 120. And we have to hire a car, $10, put the minyak inside, another $10, so it's $100 divided by 3.
So this would have been a really big show. It was the first time an orchestra was performing in Kuala Lumpur. That was 1959. Straight after Merdeka, Tunku said he wanted a Malayan orchestra. So Alfonso Soliano conducted. It was a really grand event and all the VIPs were there. It wasn't a radio program, it was a concert.
Yes, I recall that. Now, besides singing in the palace, during that period, the same team, Saloma and Ramli and the Radio Malaysia Orchestra were, we gave a concert in the Lake Gardens on a floating stage.
Did you take part in the floating
Yes.
stage? Oh, okay. Was that before?
Together with Gopal Shetty, who did the Peacock Dance and Radio Malaysia Orchestra, we were there.
P. Ramli and Saloma performed.
Yeah.
2 years after that, there was another concert
Yeah.
involving an orchestra.
Yeah, we took part in all those things because it was during the Merdeka period, and so we were all on a holiday. Those 2 chaps, they had leave to come. It was holiday time.
Do you remember what you sang on the floating stage?
Oh. The
I just
Tekopra
find the
Calypso,
chances.
Moon Shining Bright of Malaysia, in Malay and in English, of course all accompanied by Radio Malay Orchestra. So before the show, I had to write out the music and pass on to Radio Malay, and they will write the orchestral music for all the parts.
So you wrote a song sheet, a lead sheet,
Moon Shining Bright of Malaya,
right?
Tekopra Calypso, and one more song called this one, what do you call it? O Maria. So we sang it in Malay and English, not in Portuguese.
Can I ask another question? Is that
Sure, sure, sure.
That's the only one I have to stop. You mentioned Dol Baharin.
Dol Bahari, yes.
In what capacity did you know him? He wrote the lyrics for Jimmy Boyle,
Yes.
and other people know him in different capacities. I was just wondering, how did you know him?
Dol Bahari was in Malacca. He was the technician. And he was the first person to help me with the translation. When he was transferred to Penang, he had Jimmy Boyle.
What was his job? He was in Radio Malaya.
Jimmy Boyle song.
No, Dol Bahari. What was his job?
Dol Bahari, he was a technician.
Radio
Radio
technician.
Malaya.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with programming.
No.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned just now that early days, broadcasting was live. You all stood around the microphone and the sound mixer told you, sound balancer told you where to stand.
Yeah. Actually, the microphone was suspended. And we cannot make any sound inside there. Can't even sound probe.
When did that stop and when did recorded broadcasting happen?
I don't know, but the change was very gradual. Change. When we ended up, we could, when we went for a recording session, we could get a copy of that. That was in the 60s. But in the 50s, we were all live. In the 60s, they pre-recorded.
One last question, sorry if I might. I got the impression, which I now think is wrong, that Radio Malaya in Malacca was just a transmitting station and the content came from Kuala Lumpur or Singapore, Radio Malaya in Singapore. But you mentioned just now that you did a program, one of the first times that Portuguese songs were sung on air, three Malay songs, 2 English songs, and 1 Portuguese song. Whereabouts was that? Do you recall at all? And what was the name of the program?
It was in the Malay section, and heading for the program was Trez Amigos, that's all.
Oh, right. And it was recorded in Malacca?
Yeah, in Malacca, we recorded some programs. We recorded some in KL, some in Penang even, and some in Singapore. Although Singapore, they still invited us.
As a matter of record, I interject here, Saida.
Yeah.
Where was Radio Malaysia at that time?
Oh, the Radio Malaysia office was, now it's Equatorial Hotel.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Was it the RIB
So,
before?
the building is SFI, rest house, you remember the rest house? And then
RIB.
Radio Malay.
Road transport.
And road transport was downstairs, Radio Malay was upstairs.
It's a car park now.
Yeah.
First in Manchester, Chinam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, I think.
it's
Just
on.
speak.
It's
It's
on.
on,
It's on.
It's on.
Yeah.
This is on.
It's on.
It's on.
Is it on?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
on.
just bring
Sorry,
it
it's
on.
just
Near your mouth.
Just bring
Put it
it
near your mouth. Yeah.
No. I must have Horace. I'm going to call you the way we used to do it as a part. I'm a little bit intrigued about this ancient, the old Portuguese dialect spoken in Malacca. It used to be called Cristang, and spelled C-H-R-I-S-T-A-O.
Yeah.
Now it is spelled K-R-I-S-T-A-N-G. Am I right? Yes. Okay. Now, you said about some of the changes that have taken place over the years. Now, I am wondering how compatible this ancient dialect is with the language spoken in Portugal now. I have one memory about some Portuguese phrases which I've learned. In London, there were British Council excursions. During one of the excursions, there was a lady from Brazil, and I told her that in Malacca, Portuguese, a form of the Portuguese language, is still spoken in Malacca. And she was very curious to find out what it was. So I said, oh, the ones I know are bad words. She insisted on knowing it. So I just rattled out a few. And she could understand. People understand bad words all the time. They remember them. Now, the question I'm asking is, you sang a whole Portuguese song in Cristão to two professors from Portugal. Could they understand? I mean, could they understand you?
They understood every word.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Actually, the word Cristão is a misnomer.
Oh.
Cristão means Christian. So you don't speak Cristão, you speak Christian, in other words.
Oh, I see.
The right word is Malacca Portuguese. Malacca Portuguese, that's the correct one. I brought this subject up in the Portuguese settlement, and Regino and those other leaders, they agreed with me that Cristão, I don't know how and when that came into our language or other people's language, because it is a misnomer. It means Christian, and so the word should not be used, and they agree. Our language coming down right through, because we had no teachers, we were under the Dutch, and we had to run away into the jungle to practice our religion. Then when the British came, then we were free, and eventually the British gave us that kampung down there. Otherwise, we were in 3 enclaves: Transfera, Kubu, and Badahili. Badahili includes Praia. Now, Transfera would be the Eurasians of Portuguese descent who are more affluent. They were government servants or teachers or something like that. The poor fishermen would live in Badahili. In Kubu, till now there is a road for Portuguese street. There, the Portuguese who are mixed up with the Filipinos, they live there. Now, our community was a close community. We don't allow the youngsters to marry outside because of religion. The only exception will be made when you are another Catholic. So the Filipinos, at the start, when the British came, there was no what they call radios and all that. So the only music they can get is from a band. So they imported Filipino musicians, and these musicians married Portuguese girls because they were Catholics. That rulings were allowed. So that section of our community is descended from Filipinos. That's why we have some of our Eurasians who are called Rusatis, Zazadias, or Filipino names. But now, there are no people living in Portuguese street. All were chased and put into the concentration camp of Portuguese settlement. I remember Portuguese settlement when I was a schoolboy. I used to go there and catch a bird. It was what you call Buata forest. And I used to go there with my catapult. Then suddenly one day when I went there, I found there was no atap forest or red soil there, cleared up for the Portuguese settlement. And then these huts began, all identical huts. But now, those people are more prosperous. From Rumah Papan became Rumah Batu now.
Just following up on what you said about this infusion of the Filipinos, there's a mixture with the Malacca Portuguese. What language evolved from them? Because the Filipinos are Spanish, of Spanish ancestry, and this one, the Malacca Portuguese are of Portuguese ancestry. So what language came out of that?
Well, because the Filipinos were a minority, when they married Portuguese girls, usually the language is learned from the mother, not from the father. So all got into Portuguese.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Horace. My name is Rachel. I am the granddaughter of the late Mr. Alfonso Soliano.
Who?
Alfonso Soliano.
Oh!
Do you remember working with my late grandfather?
Your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Well, Alfonso was a very good friend of mine. All our shows, either Alfonso or Tony Soliano would be accompanying us. Usually the stars would go early. We go early. The show is at 6 o'clock. We'll be there by 2 o'clock. And we mostly have to sit and wait. The others will be practicing. Always mistakes. But when it came to the Trez Amigos, we are well rehearsed. Because I'm leading with the guitar and Tony or Alfonso would play. We gave them no trouble. The last time I met Alfonso was when we had Film Negara invited us to have a reunion program. They wanted to make another film of us. That was in the 80s. And we went to the studio. And who was there but Alfonso? Retired already. So that was the last time we saw him. Now, all that I have of him is the latest CD that his children has produced. Beautiful music. But Tony and Alfonso were very friendly with us.
Most of your music you played as a trio before you went down to KL to play with the orchestra. So probably Alfonso would have been in charge of the orchestration work for some of your songs. As you said, you had to rehearse prior. When you came to KL, you have to now play with the orchestra. Was that difficult?
No, we didn't find any difficulty. what we do is, I still write the notations, post it to him, and he'll write the orchestration for the other instruments.
When you heard your music in the orchestration form for the first time, did you like it?
First time, yes. Sometimes we don't, we will ask for certain
Guidance?
changes. Maybe in the tempo or the style, the entrance and the accompaniments.
Did you hang out with my grandfather?
No, unfortunately. He was very interested in hunting, and they do a lot of drinking.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I
you know
don't
that.
drink.
And we don't drink. The other two members do drink, but not very much. I won't touch the stuff.
Thank you.
Another reason why I won't touch the stuff is that I had to do the driving all the way from Kerala.
Sir, when you recorded in Radio Malaya in Kuala Lumpur, was it in Young Road or Federal House?
Federal House.
So it was the 6th floor, the auditorium at the top.
Right.
Did you meet Ahmad Marikan?
Ahmad Marikan, yes. The accomplished guitarist. He used to, of course he didn't accompany us, except in the main orchestra. Whereas Alfonso and Tony, during the show, there's only a piano there, and drums and bass, and of course my guitar. But who was I talking about?
Ahmad Marikan.
Ahmad Marikan. Ahmad Marikan does not accompany us because I was already playing guitar. But as a group of the Radio Malaysia Orchestra, he would play with them.
Sorry, I just have one more question. Did you learn anything from the Solianos, from Alfonso or Tony? Did they give you any musical tips? Did they give you any musical tips? Did
Oh,
you learn-
Alfonso?
Yeah, did you learn anything?
Yeah, we usually discuss and changes or anything, but we take his advice because he is the master.
What advice did he give you?
Musical advice, nothing else.
He had 10 children, you know. They were all musicians too.
Yeah.
So no musical, do you remember any musical advice?
Like mostly in the tempo of the songs. For example, I read a song in 3/4 tempo, that's waltz. He'll go there and he'll suggest, why don't you sing it in, say, 4/4? And we can make the change very easily because he's accompanying us, no problem. The same thing is when we go to Singapore for recordings for HMV. There's a different band there. There's what do you call Jose Guraya.
Yes.
There's Dick Abdel, accompanies guitarist. There's Rufino Soliano, he plays the bass, and Papu Hashim plays the drums. No problem, I said what do you call first line, and they'll write the orchestration themselves. So before we sing, they'll play the accompaniment, we will listen, and we agree or we disagree, we make some changes. But being accomplished musicians themselves like your grandfather and all, there's no problem. You can make a change without any trouble. Whereas Alfonso and Tony had trouble with the other singers because when introduction is given, say in the key of F, and they want to sing in the key of C, they can make the change. But Alfonso and Tony can do, no problem.
I have a question, Mr. Horace. Not so much a question, but a bit of a sharing. From your generation, I have the privilege to know your brothers and also their children and your children also. From your Santa Maria family, you had Kenneth, you had Arthur, and I forget what else there. I can't remember the name actually. You're the others, I think. No? Yeah, you're the others. So he was a accomplished musician as far as I can remember in those days. And of course, the next generation that came on, we had people like Royston, Barry, Santa Maria, Irving could sing also, you know, and some other accomplished players, I suppose, of music. Now, how about your grandchildren? Are there any signs of discontinuity of great music in the family? I know some that was small, but I mean, in general, the Santa Maria family.
Actually, when my children were in school, I forbade them to touch my musical instruments. But to what you call concentrate on their studies. But once they finished the senior Cambridge or MC, I said, you can use my saxophone, piano, anything. And in a short time, they form a band. One of those noisy bands, under the name of Ghost Riders. And they could play music in the Treda camp during weekends. Now, my elder son Oliver and Jimmy, they've more or less given up. They're settled down. But Royston is my nephew, the son of my eldest brother. He, of course, is our household boy down here. He is also very famous out there.
Roy.
And Roy. Another one who is an accomplished pianist now is Clifford Sequeira. He is doing very well in Perth. That is from the other line, although in the family. But from my direct family, my 7 children, no doubt they are musical. We can sing in harmony when we sing our carols and all that. But they didn't go on into a profession. It was just a sideline. Of my grandchildren, there are 1 or 2 who are showing promise. My great-granddaughter, who is now 10 years old, can play the piano and accompany herself singing. She's doing very well. She's got the ear for music. The other grandchildren don't show any sign of music. They want to follow the present trend where you have rap, which is rubbish, it's not music.
How many instruments do you play?
I started with the top organ or harmonica. Then there was the Jewish harp, if you know, it is like Then later on, I picked up the piano myself. I had no training at all, no tuition. From the small books book, beginner's book, I learned music and played the piano. So I'm not an accomplished pianist, but I can accompany myself simple tunes. I played the saxophone and clarinet in a band. We had a dance band beside the Trez Amigos. We played for dances, and I played the saxophone, guitar, of course, and ukulele.
Banjo?
Banjo is the same.
You were talking about modeling. Did you record any modeling songs?
Oh,
Because that would be really nice if you gave us an example.
Well, actually, I was kicked out of the choir because as a boy singing in church, I was given solo parts. So at one practice, when I was singing the solo, and it came to a high note, my voice cracked. And I was kicked out of the choir. The choir master thought that I was just mucking around. So,
Who was the choir master?
Minju, Alec Minju.
Your voice was cracking.
Yes.
Puberty.
So, because puberty. So during that period, when I was not in the choir, my voice cracked, so I sort of played around with it. And one day, when I was watching a film, I heard,
Geometry.
not geometry,
Where was this?
no, you had it running, you never know that in my woman. He was yodeling. So I said to myself, oh, that is what you call yodeling. So I did it myself and I did it. So the first yodeling song that I did was Coming Round the Mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. Then the yodel, yodeling, oh, needling. Now I cannot do it because I underwent an operation in January. I was very sick. So all the things were put down, my nose and my mouth, all the tubes from all over, and then damaged my vocal cords. So it's taking some time for me to get it back. When I left the hospital, I could hardly talk. Because when I thought it was painful, and my voice is gruff, like that. Otherwise my voice was smooth. Well, there comes a time, you can't always, 92 years is good enough.
Very well done.
Yeah. What about a Japanese song?
Oh, then I forgot about it, she reminded me. During the Japanese occupation, they passed the word around that the Japanese were holding a talent time in the capital dance hall. So I never thought about the Tre Amigos there. I was all on my own at that time. And I had learned a little bit of Japanese because, well, that's a long story when I ran away from this. But eventually I landed in SFI doing a course in carpentry to escape from the Japanese. And in SFI during the Japanese period for 6 months I learned Japanese. So when the Japanese wanted, when they organized the talent time, I took part and sang a Japanese song. So I qualified for the second round, and I didn't know what song to sing. My repertoire was only one song. So I made up another song and sang that one, and I won the prize. And that time the Japanese they had the finals in the Japanese radio. They had the radio station at the State House. You know the old police station?
Yeah.
Opposite that, at that part, that was the Japanese radio station.
The maternity clinic, you mean? Just after the maternity
Yes.
clinic, where the government clinics are.
Yeah. So anyway, during the competition, the Americans bombed the ship that was in the harbor or in the Straits of Malacca. There was a Japanese ship that Japanese bomb. So in the radio station, while we were competing in the singing, the boom, boom, boom. So surprisingly, I came in first there. And for, well, the prize was 2 kgs of rice, 1 kg of sugar, and a pair of rubber shoes.
Tell us about the Goreng Pisang song. The boy.
And sambal belacan.
Before the war, in 1940, there was a boy from here in the street. He was born deformed and brain damaged. So he could hardly talk and he walked with very bad limp. But he had a beautiful voice. And his mother made him sell goreng pisang. So he would, they lived here in the street. He would walk from there to the clock tower, passing the government offices, the Malacca Club, old Malacca Club, then the BHS, the SFI. And from when he reached Malacca Club, you can hear his voice calling out, goreng pisang, goreng sede. So he could only say lima sen. So when you get the fried bananas, you ask him berapa? 5 sen. So we buy 3 or 4 and put the money in a cigarette tin in his head and cover. Now when the Japanese came, his mother started bringing the goreng pisang again. And the Japanese occupied the rest house, you remember where it is? It was at the high school. And in front of the, what you call, rest house, there was a Japanese sentry. When you pass before him, you have to bow. If you are cycling, you got to dismount and bow. If you are in a trishaw, you must get down and bow. If not, you get slapped, kicks, or the butt of the rifle. Or you are going to kneel down in the sun for a few hours. So this poor boy, in his old merry way, came saying, goreng pisang, and he passed the Japanese sentry. He shot him with a rifle butt. This poor boy fell, the goreng pisang all scattered. He tried to pick up. I ran into SFI for safety, I didn't want to see. But next day, his head was at the end of a pole in the center of a roundabout at the St. Francis Church, Bogaraya at the bridge. There was a roundabout in the center. And there was written on the cardboard, this is what in Japanese and English. This is what will happen to you if you disrespect a Japanese soldier. So that troubled me for a very long time. So in order to make it easy on me, I wrote out this song. So even now when I pass the Repertoire Hotel, I still picture the Japanese sentry and the poor boy. So this song helps me. Goreng pisang, fried bananas, Here, take this one. Ini masih panas. My fried bananas are good to eat. Tepung pun garing, senang digigit. It's crispy, it's sweet. I tell you it's true. Kalau kau beli suka hatiku. Goreng pisang, fried bananas. Here, take this one. Ini masih panas. And that song, when I recorded, was a top tune.
How about the other food song, Sambal Belacan?
Sambal Belacan is another. We went to Penang for a session of a recording session. We were in the studio recording when this young fella Ahmad Daud, who eventually joined the team, he had just won a talent in Penang singing Down by the Riverside. So he came into the studio, introduced himself, and invited us to his house for dinner. He said it fetches. So that night when he fetched us, and we went to his house, it was in a kampung, Balihan, with a serambi in front, and there was a long table. We had to take off our shoes to go up, with all the rendang and kroma and all that. But the sambal belacan was on a flat plate, and the belacan was arranged into TA, which means Trez Amigos. And there were 3 lines also there. So when we went up there, he introduced us to his grandparents and parents, and the whole couple were there downstairs. So they introduced, this is rendang, this is biryani, this is that, and look, this is sambal belacan with a TA. Now, you do the performing ceremony. So each one had to squeeze a line, 3 lines. And so after the, what do you call it, dinner, Ahmad Daud took his guitar and he sang Down by the Riverside. Then he gave a guitar to us and asked us to sing. So of course we sang Umulan and the Alamanda in Malay. We didn't sing it in English, only in Malay. So the couple of people were all very surprised. 3 non-Malays singing Malay songs. So when that was over and we were coming back, Ernest Rodriguez and Kevin Gomez talking about sambal belacan, and they said, Horace, you must do something about this. So it took me 5 years to actually agree on what the final outcome was. Sambal belacan, sangat pedas. It's smart, it's hot, but it's delicious. Sambal belacan bawa lekas. Marilah mari makan nasi. What cook you dear? Oh let me see. Ikan tenggiri masak asam. But have you got the sambal belacan? Sambal belacan sangat pedas. It's smart, it's hot, but it's delicious. Sambal belacan bawa lekas. Daging ayam masak ke rumah. Even this is not sedap. Tak nafsu hendak makan. Kalau you know have sambal belacan.
I must have the last scene, yeah? Right, so, you know, I listened to your song Sambal Belacan and, you know, the goreng pisang. But it didn't mean anything to me until tonight. So I'm going back to listen again, you know, and my son, you know, tell this to my son. So I think we shouldn't all just let all this go down the drain, right? So I'm giving a tall order to Jimmy. You know, have you ever written the stories behind all these songs?
No.
Okay, right. So Julie, you are tasked to write all the stories behind these beautiful songs. Okay. All the songs, each one of those.
Yes, got a story.
How it came about from birth, you know, to becoming a song, right? And you know, you have all this time with Daddy that we are not privileged, you know, to spend this time with him. Now, I'm going to check up on you and your family, and if you don't, and if you don't do it, tonight we are going to form a committee to go to Perth and do it for you.
Okay, I think it's already 9:30, so it was truly a wonderful evening, a lovely session with Master Horace. Thank you very much, Master Horace, for all the lovely sharings and just for being with us. It's really a privilege. For those of us who are here, I'm sure we're very inspired by what you shared with us. And also, it's really real heritage. You know, it's a tangible and intangible heritage which you have shared with us. We're very proud that you are still Malacca's icon, no matter that you're in Perth. You know, I don't think you can ever escape Malacca River. I don't think so. So with that, I thank you.